Here.
Debbie Davis.
Here.
Daniel Deal.
Here.
Dewey Estimov.
Here.
Mark Evans. Jeremy Kinsey.
Here.
John Pippinger.
Here.
Samantha Trent. James Williams.
Yes.
First on our agenda is approval of minutes of previous meeting.
Motion to approve all unapproved.
Second.
Motion made by Pippinger, second by Davis. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans. Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes.
James Williams.
Yes.
Next is approval of reports of office.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by Pippinger, second by Kinsey. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov. Mark Evans. Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes.
James Williams.
Yes.
Next is approval of notary. We have two of them. Sherilyn Gregory, she works at the Oakwood General Healthcare. Next is Billy Blackwell of Higgins Funeral Home of Benton.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion made by Pippinger, second by, is that Evans? Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov. Mark Evans. Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes.
And James Williams.
Yes.
Next, we have budget amendments. We got 8 of them. First one is number 18. It goes for line 101-46120. The report maintenance program of $16,587.50 over into line 58220-2702. Next is number 19, out of line 101-46290, public safety grant of $409.31 over into line 54110-187 for overtime pay. Number 20, it comes from line 101-49800, transferred into, it's $2,600 into line 101-54110-307, communication, 600, and 101-54110-334, maintenance agreement. Number 21 comes out of line 101-54110-349. Print forms 500. 101-54110-425, fuel 2,500. Total of 3,000 into line 101-54110-338. Maintenance repair. 22 is a total of $35,0882, and it comes out of maintenance and repair $772, postal 36, print forms 200, travel 300, food supply 2,000, furniture fixtures of 200, into the maintenance repair line of $3,508.82. Both of those are Sheriff's Department. The next one is number 23, and it is line 51500-93, election workers of $4,980. Line 51500-196, in service of $5,000. 51500-499, other supplies of $1,610. Line 5150-709 data processing of 1,000, and 5150-711 furniture fixtures of 1,000 over into line 51500-399 other contracted services, a total of $13,590. Number 24 is line 46980, other state grants of $1,187 over into line 56500-432 of library books and media of $1,187.
I make a motion to approve amendments 18 through 20.
Second.
Motion made by Woody, second by Dale. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trentham. James Woody.
Yes.
Then we have the one that comes out of 122, the drug fund number 3. It comes out of line 122-3900, undesignated of $2,600, into line 122-99100, transfers out $2,600.
Make a motion, we also approve number 3, amendment number 3.
Second.
Motion made by Woody, second by Dale. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov. Mark Evans.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trentham.
Yes.
And James Woody.
Yes.
Next was our road concern, but that has been resolved by the road department. Next is the Oakwood Fire Hall.
I've got bid specs wrote up for the concrete and the doors. And if we can get just the concrete poured and the doors up, that'll get us at least back to where we was pre-tornado, where they can leave 2 trucks there. So I guess I make a motion to have Robbie take RFPs on the concrete and the doors. And I'll get with him tomorrow. He said something today about he may have found some more money that may pay for it, something will come out of fund balance, some COVID money, and it may take a couple months to get it. So we can still go ahead and do RFPs, and I'll get with him tomorrow and see what the timeline of that money, and if it's gonna be a couple months, we can extend the RFPs to that date, or, you know, the start date. I'll get with him tomorrow on that, but
I'll second.
Who made the motion?
Motion's been made and
I
seconded.
made the motion.
Okay.
You second.
Dewey seconded.
Any discussion?
Brooks, you got 6-inch on your RFPs, are they specific on what you're asking for already, 6-inch on concrete?
Yep.
And what kind of doors did you ask for on that?
It's gotta be, it's roll-up doors. That's what they mean.
It is a roll-up.
Yep. And the concrete's 4,000 pounds, 6 inches deep, 5 inches. That's about as style as you can get, ain't it, Daniel?
Yep.
So,
Greg,
uh,
can you amend your motion to include the necessary plumbing to be put down before we put down the concrete?
We done took care of it.
You done got
Yeah,
that?
there's still some gift cards left from Home Depot, and the captain's gonna go get the material on it, and, a guy's gonna donate the labor, and we done measured it, and it's all marked, and it'll just be roughed in case down the road they put in a bathroom or a shower or kitchen. Probably that never won't happen, but if we do, it'll be roughed in anyway, so.
Okay.
That's all took care of. We just gotta get the concrete and the doors, and then that'd give us all summer, look to put some kind of heat in there for next winter. But I'd get it back when we leave 2 trucks there anyway.
Greg Brooks,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey. John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trentham.
Yes.
James Whitty.
Yes.
Next on our agenda is surplus property from the sheriff's department. We have a resolution for that, and it will be 2-1-21. Resolutions to discharge surplus property, whereas the following listed properties has fulfilled its intended usage and longevity in the service to the county of Hope, and its continued usage has become suspect as to the extended outcome, with such property being as the following. First, there is a Hustler model Trim Star number 930396, a walk-behind mower. There's another Hustler, it's a walk-behind mower. Another Hustler, which is a 6-inch cut zero-turn riding mower. And another Hustler, the same as a zero-turn riding mower. Now, there be resolved by the Polk County Commission meeting in a regular session on this day, the 18th day of February, 21, to TCA 5-14-108, 01 and 2, and any other law of the state of Tennessee that commissions with such being made at any legal sale qualified under Chapter 5 of the Tennessee Code Anonymous, or any other applicant law of the state of Tennessee. Furthermore, to designate proceeds from this sale to be returned to the road crew donations from which it is purchased. This resolution shall become effective on passage. The public welfare required it.
Motion to approve resolution 2-1.
Second motion.
Motion made by Pippinger, second by Dale. Any discussion?
Now, is this done at public auction, or how's this done?
It's either public auction or on gov deals, whatever the law allows them to sell, it's different authorization.
Okay. It's not done a sealed bid thing or nothing? It's
Not unless
want
it's-
some type of public auction?
Well, they do sell, it's up to them. once it's
Okay.
approved by us.
But if it's done sealed bids, it has to be put out in the paper?
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
yeah, public notice and everything else.
Any more discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trentham.
Yes.
And James Whitty.
Yes.
Next, we have our East Post Library that Robbie has on there. We have a lease agreement. But he said earlier that it was wrote to where it was put to him, right? It needed to change.
It needs to be modified to be the agreement between Polk County and not him personally. Apparently, the original was for Robbie Hatcher to sign, but it needs to be Polk County. It's kind of that. I think we wanted Eric, if we approved it, to send it back to Eric for modification. Clean up the contract.
Let me read this last letter that they gave us. So the owner of it, Libby Newman, has sent us a letter on January 6th after a conversation from the 29th. The month rent for the premises known as East Post Library at 136 Main Street, Tennessee, Becktown, Tennessee, will be $175 per month, $9,000 a year, understanding that the money will have to be allocated in the upcoming June budget meeting. We are willing to defer payments, as said, until July 21st, 2021. If you do not plan to pay rent beginning July 1st, 2021, you are hereby notified by this letter that you must vacate the premises by March 6, 2021. If you choose to remain tenant, a year lease is attached at $750 per month Please call to make arrangements to finalize the lease. If there are any questions, please contact me at. So she has attached the agreement, but it hasn't been went over by Eric. But we have to have it, we have to go forward if that's what we're doing by March 6th.
I think what Executive Hatcher was asking us to do is either vote to proceed down that path or not tonight, and that way you can go there. Like that.
So what we need to do tonight?
We have to make a decision on if we're gonna pay the $750 or if we're gonna vacate.
It's kind of tricky. I mean, tonight, we might say yes tonight, and everybody change their minds for budget time, when we go set the budget.
Well, that's, I mean, that's the problem. I don't know where's the money gonna come from.
Well, they're saying if we're, intentions are putting it next year's budget, but we ain't even started on the budget yet. You know, everybody sitting here may say yes tonight and then change their mind when it comes to budget time.
But we can't sign this one anyway because it's wrote wrong and Eric hasn't went over it.
One of the things you get into with the budget is if you vote on it tonight and you vote to do it, then when we walk into the budget sessions, you walk in with that being part of the debt. That becomes part of the expenditure on the budget document. It's not whether you're going to fund it then, the amount of money is a cost, and you figure out how to fund it, or if you're going to drop that service. When you start dropping the service, you're not just getting into one building, you're opening it up to across the board drop to see what you're going to drop in the county services, whether it's that or something else to make that difference.
Right.
So when you vote on this, you're pretty well saying, yes, we're doing it.
But see where it gets tricky, it's, we're all here right now, and say you vote yes, and say something happens one of us before budget time, and our replacement says no, and he's tie-breaking vote not to fund it. We went through this one time with a $50,000 donation that the previous county commission made, and then we had a good attorney, and we got out of paying it, but anyway, they were speaking way out of turn, ahead of time. And it's the same scenario, I think we'll all still be here in July, but, if it was 5-4 and the fifth vote ain't here in July, that voted tonight, I mean, I don't know what that would do to this contract.
But like I said, if you voted in tonight, it will go in on your expenditure side in the budget request, period. It's there.
And if it doesn't get voted in,
If it doesn't get voted in, it will not be on the expenditure side.
then we'll be moving out by March.
Yeah.
All right, John, well, if we vote this in tonight, then come budget time, somebody makes a motion to cut that money back out, and it passes the unanimous vote.
Then it's wrong.
So tonight's not binding.
It's, yeah. Mr. Logan's here, thank God. It's,
Somebody give him $200.
if the commission says it's gonna go into the contract, you've got the expectation this big. Now, it doesn't have to finalize, but, so you have problems.
Contract, under those circumstances, assuming there's no change for commission, the case which I found on the $50,000 was a distinction was because when the actual funding took place, there was a new county commission. We had deferred some things, and there was a new county commission, and the majority was not there. And we were successful in avoiding that $50,000 commitment, which had been made, but there was a change by the governing body of the county of their position. There was not a contractual responsibility that it had been entered into. What I'm hearing is that they are asking for the contractual commitment to be bound by the 750, and I don't know how long or whether or not that's sufficient in this description as to the term and the other things that might be present. So, and thank you, I apologize, I should have stood. The judges make us stand when we talk to them, and you folks get the judges the presentation. So, my thought is that I'd like to read that before you make a decision to see what I see or don't see, if I could, and you can take it back up.
Well, we do it at the end.
Well, and let me ask you this question real quick.
Sir.
If you could, what if we, could you do like a month to month till budget time? If this person was in agreement, so they.
But this one says March 6th, we're not gonna meet again.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying now, I mean, I'm just talking. If we approved it, well, we can't though, because we don't know if they would accept it.
And it says
till
March
budget
6th.
time.
You can consider deferring this until communication had been had. If somebody's wanting $750 a month and that kind of thing, you'll know the answer before your next meeting.
Yeah.
And that would be in the month of March, and they would be in a position.
Because I'm just not into voting on this till budget time. I mean, because we're already in the hole every year, and then we don't know where we're gonna be standing sure enough, and, I mean, as far as getting into a contract till budget time. But,
You could defer it, as I said,
Yeah.
until your March meeting, and then you'll know whether or not that person's going to be willing to entertain the amendment to this contract, or that you could do it month to month, be revisited after the budget.
I mean, is that something that anybody else would want to consider?
Well, the idea was that they would start charging rent now, but in talking with the county executive, they said, well, you know, they asked because it wasn't budgeted already. They said, well, we'll wait till July 1st and start collecting the $750 a month. If you agree to a 1 year,
Yeah, but we'd have to go ahead and
Lease.
agree to it.
right,
Yeah. But that's why I'm
So,
saying,
other
we're
words-
going to be agreeing to it before we know what our budget is.
well,
Just because.
I think worst case scenario,
Agreed.
run this by Jimmy.
750, we're not agreeing to an increase in their budget line. They might have to take the 750 out of other stuff if we can't find the money to cover it.
Well, worst case scenario, if we go ahead and vote tonight to agree to it July 1st, and then something changes July 1st, they could just throw us out again, right?
The
That'd be
case
the worst
was
case.
seemed to be very specific, that you would be bound by the contract where you were bound to start July. And perhaps that would be, I don't know, I haven't read it, but perhaps it would be for an additional year, and I'm assuming, based on what you've said about this, that they would then say that the 750 would be, you would be bound by that until the end of the next budget, or until the beginning of that budget. So if they are requiring a 1-year lease and they want to defer it, its inception or its beginning until July, and I think it would be the budget folks.
That's the way, from what I understood from Mr. Hatcher back.
How many years has the
Physical budget.
library been there?
Like 12.
Oh, it's-
Probably 10 years.
How much rent they charge us?
they did, the daddy
They haven't charged none till
let them do it for,
now.
let them do it. But see, he's 80-something years old now, it's his daughter now taking care of it. and they're gonna start paying rent, or charging rent.
For 1 year.
Well, it's a 1-year lease agreement
That time.
at a time. So
My
at the end
thing
of
is-
the year,
But you have had it free
You
for
do something
over
else.
10 years, though.
And have we
That's
got
been nothing
anywhere
for
else
10
for the
years.
library to go to? I mean,
I think there's been other buildings looked at. They all work together all day anyway.
The old bank building's leaking water.
I don't wanna lose the library up here, and to my knowledge, we don't have nowhere else for it to go.
No.
That's what I was saying tonight. I mean, I'm afraid we're trying to figure out what to do without 100% commitment, but not losing it come March 6th either. We gotta,
There's nowhere for it to go.
I guess we just vote for it tonight, commit to it, and if we change our mind in July, then they can run us
I
out in
don't
July.
think we can change our mind, though, we'll be in a contract. I mean, once we
signed
signed it, once we vote on it tonight, we're in a contract. I mean, that was why I was only saying what I said, that if we could do a month to month till, keep us from getting thrown out till March the 1st, or till July the 1st.
Unless one of you knows somebody in the car right quick, or Mike, you know,
Oh, I know it was one of the family, but
they
I don't have a phone number.
they made it pretty clear. If you remember what Robbie said.
Go with it.
Mike, come on, you can think.
These kids.
I'll
need
make a
library.
motion that we enter in agreement for 1 year, beginning July 1st, with John Newman for the rent on the, what is the library at this time.
A second.
And that will be utilities, we will owe utilities on top of that, correct?
So if we're paying them now,
Yeah.
we would then.
This will be in addition to what we've been paying.
Yeah.
Motion made by Woody, second by Espadon. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey. John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trentham.
Yes.
And James Woody.
Yes.
Next on our agenda is the resolution in support of.
May I speak? This is really old business. We passed a contract and an agreement to participate in the opioid litigation in 2017. At that time, our district attorney and the counties we represent are not only in the 10th district, but other districts as well. We did have a commitment that we would be handling it as a county unit, and we had the other counties in this district and some of the other counties in other districts. But the district attorney, under the Drug Dealers Act, Liability Act, they decided after a period of time that they would use the Stranch Law Firm to file the lawsuit for the respective counties. The Supreme Court just decided about 3.5 weeks ago that district attorneys did not have standing under the Drug Distribution Liability Act, but the judge has said that the counties can continue to proceed with whatever counsel they have chosen to represent them. Fortunately, Mr. Stranch, who was representing the district attorneys, or many of the district attorneys, and I were co-chairs of the opioid litigation group in Tennessee. So he and I have agreed that I would participate in the litigation now more actively than I was before, and that we would ask the judge to allow us to continue to prosecute that action. We have to say that we will participate, or the judge is going to not let us participate. I just want to give you a couple of things that we do, the information. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time, but we began to accumulate data, and at the time that we initiated the lawsuits, or were ready to, we had accumulated these facts, which will shock you, I think. At that time, the average population for a 4-year period of time was 16,898 people. Believe it or not, opioids prescribed for people in Polk County over that period of time was 15,738,571 prescripts. If that doesn't get you, it's shocking. I-75 was known as Oxy Express. And then the drug enforcement units were patrolling over there, and guess what became the Oxy Express as well, number 2, 411 Highway. Just shocking for us to know. And if the sheriff were here, and I think we got somebody here who can agree, opioids and their distribution were taking place all over Polk County. For people coming into Polk County, there were people who were holding them for distribution in Polk County, and folks from Bradley County coming and getting them, and vice versa. Meigs County, Polk County, Bradley County, Monroe County, McMinn County were a hub of distribution in our state. Okay. Herb Slattery filed a lawsuit as well. And the biggest company is now in bankruptcy, as I'm sure you've read, Big Pharma, Purdue, Big Pharma is what it's called. They've gone into bankruptcy. They had made a settlement offer about 5 weeks ago. I participated in the conversation in which Herb Slattery was talking about that they had gotten $16 billion offer from this one company. A portion of it came from the family, several $billion came from the family. We've gotten that increase by $2.4 billion since that had been generally accepted by the attorney generals across the state, across the country. So what this resolution does is says, hey judge, in Campbell County, where the cases were consolidated in Campbell County, which is fairly interesting. But we've got several districts in which counties were named by the DAs as being, that they were standing in the place of for those counties. So now the big question which will come up is, what are the distribution formulas of those monies? How do you figure out how much you ought to give to Polk County government, Bradley County government, Davidson County government, all of those things, and then internally, how do we distribute those to what agencies and what departments? Quite candidly, that's a big part of the disagreement. It's too complex, perhaps, to go into in great detail tonight. Happy to, if some of you'd like to sit down and talk for 20 or 30 minutes afterwards. I'd like to get back to Cleveland if that'd be all right. But the fact is that these tiered groups which will be receiving, and the question is going to be, who do you put in a group? Do you go by county lines? Do you go by the judicial districts? What do you do? What our group has proposed is this, that we be put together as groups, and that not just be the drug task force for the 10th Judicial District. There are facts about, and the mayor will tell you, you folks had to pay for a lot of autopsies of people who died as a result of drug overdose, opioid abuse, and those things. We've had great successes in getting that reduced, as you know, by the legislature, saying, Doc, you can't give more than this number of pills unless you make these specific findings and those types of things. So what you're doing here is just saying, hey, Judge, we want to continue to participate, and Mr. Logan and Mr. Strange are going to represent our interest. And then at some point, I'll come back to each of the counties so that you're kept apprised of what we recommend that you accept as to the distribution formulas. And we've been working on this, the Attorney General's office has. It's very complex. The possibilities are very interesting. The state of Tennessee, as you might imagine, would like for them to have a whole lot of the money. And our position is that it ought to be distributed in terms of the use, back-looking and forward-looking, in terms of what we've lost and what we need to do to prevent any opioid abuse. And this will bleed into others because drugs are drugs. Addictive drugs are addictive drugs. They don't all have to be oxys. But I really encourage you to consider this. It's under old business. I think you can consider it. And Meigs County and Bradley County have already adopted this resolution. I'll be meeting with McMinn County and Monroe County within the next 2 weeks. We want to set this case for trial. Trials are going to be with us after March the 31st, and we anticipate substantial offers of settlement. I can't give you the names of all the companies which are sued, but I think we're going to be successful, at least to some extent. We will be, because we're going to get a distribution from the Big Pharma bankruptcy, and there are 2 other bankruptcies in which their assets are there. And we, as you may know, this opioid fund is going to own Big Pharma because they forfeited all of their assets. And gosh, the family had billions to contribute, $2.4 billion themselves. Interesting. Any questions?
Your fees come from the settlement, not
Yes.
from us.
The fees had been previously, thank you for bringing that up. We've agreed to reduce our fees in view of some of the things which have happened that were 33 1/3% because we didn't know where we were going. We have agreed to reduce that to 25%. We've got great expert witnesses talking about the losses based upon deaths and things. It's very complex in terms of describing how we go through this process. And the trial will probably take 6 to 10 weeks of actual trial time. Depositions, we've already taken 120 depositions. Incredible amount of work it's already gone into it. But we are, thank you for mentioning that. I've agreed to reduce, and Mr. Strange has agreed to reduce the percentage of recovery to 25%. Some of you know my heart for this county and its people, and you might even get a bigger boost. Don't you dare record that. But it's really important to me for this community to be a part of some of those funds.
But that money does come out of what you get back from the pharmaceuticals. That's how you get paid.
Yes, yes. And that's going to be complex as well because General Slattery, who I like him personally, my heart's here, and instead of in the state distribution under public health and some of those things. And don't say, golly, I need to keep my mouth shut. Anyway, so if you would consider that tonight, and I'd be most appreciative. I'll tell you one thing, I forgot to put on the resolution, leave a place for the resolution number as well. But I think that the whereases are pretty self-explanatory. We've actually already agreed to it, essentially.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2-2-21.
Second.
Motion made by Dale, seconded by Brooks. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trentham.
Yes.
And James Woody.
Yes.
Next on our agenda is board applications. I think you told me what that was.
They put it on there, but, they never brought me the applications.
Okay, the
Probably
IDB
didn't.
I think it's
board-
next month.
Next month, the IDB board has two members, that needs to be filled. The planning board has 3 and the 911 board has 2. They're taking applications for the industrial development board, the planning board and the 911 board that are due by March, I believe it said March 9th, so that they may get the project next month. March 9th, they have closed. Does that sound right, Jackie, for them to get them to the, on the packet?
Yes,
Okay. March 9th.
yes, the Wednesday before.
Next on our agenda is the hospital update. Those people, I guess, are still in.
I don't know, Mr. Logan has been keeping up some of that with.
Yes. This all arises as a result of something that this commission had to consider several years ago. I've forgotten when it was. The hospital requested an additional $1.4 million, $750,000 of it was to come from, or $700,000 was to come from Polk County, a guarantee, as we had guaranteed long before I ever served as your county attorney. The city of Ducktown and the city of Copper Hill, and many of you were there and know, my suggestion to you was that you never do it because of the prospects unless you do, and I was asked about it. But this commission knows how important healthcare is to this community, and after we discussed it, we agreed to the deed of trust, that there would be a deed of trust in favor of Polk County if there were a default. That was fought as well, even the day of the execution. Thank goodness that strong minds prevailed to do what the resolution had been. As a result of that, the hospital property, when the default occurred and we took the property and the amount of the debt, we were able to avoid the tax liens, both federal and state tax liens and other liens which had been filed because our deed of trust was earned. There's still that 6-acre tract, and I don't know whether or not there was a follow-through with that being taxed for the property taxes because it had been kept off of the rolls as was for a period of time, of course, the hospital. That's one thing that needs to be considered because they can move mountains now, as you know. And 10 years ago, we would not consider making that 6 acres part of the development. The contract I looked at and was asked to look at by at least one county commissioner and of course the county executive, he asked me to look at it. Anytime you're going to deal with anybody on the contract, there's a real due diligence. It becomes a pretty complex matter. We represented the county when Community Health Systems purchased Bradley Memorial Hospital. It should have been leased 15 years before that. But anyway, it's a very complex issue. There are some things that are pending in Congress. Some of them are not actually in formal bills now, but rural health care services are a matter that's going to be addressed by Congress, is the information which I have. My suggestion to you is, and I asked Mr. Brooks, what committee has that? My suggestion to you is that this contract needs to be visited very carefully. It is something that I'm concerned about if I served, and I know you folks are greatly concerned about it. But it potentially is, it's absolutely in the best interest that something be done. The grants and the funds that are becoming available will be more available, as you heard through the presidential campaigns. That's one thing everybody agreed, was we need some rural medical service protection because hospitals are closing in any rural area across our state. In think there were 20-something that were closed between 1990 and 2015. So I do think that your committee, and that committee needs to be considered by you, I think. And again, I know what I think is not decisive of anything, that you get some outside of the commission members, experts, expertise that would be involved in whatever decision you would have to make, so that you have truly good advice and counsel with reference to that issue. So today, I don't think you have any action to take for sure, but that due diligence would require that you begin to be better apprised of what should be done. No question, it's sitting there. Of course, we're getting some payments, but they're not enough, I guess, to even maintain it. I don't know how much the payments are that you're getting from the lease agreements.
About 6.
What?
It's around, what, 5,800 a month, 6,000?
Yeah, I think I've heard the figure 5,800. So that's what that's my observation, John. Thank you for allowing me to make mention of that. And that's another thing that's critically important to this community, the jobs as well as the health care provision.
Well, the building committee's got to meet next week when Mark wants to meet with the sanitation committee. Let's do the building committee too. And what you're saying, you said it nice, we need somebody there with more sense than we got. We can handle, we'll get somebody there.
I don't know how to make a nuclear bomb.
Yeah,
But I don't.
we'll get somebody there smarter than us on the building committee.
Well, you know, consulting advice is oftentimes worth more than you pay for it. And I know that that's expense and everything else. It's a concern. Madam Chair, may I mention 2 other things, because I'm not your county attorney and I didn't put these on your agenda, but they're issues that you folks are confronting. If I would just make mention of that to you. One is the airport contract. I've been approached by people regarding that. As I understand it, it has been before you on several occasions over the past, 4 years? And that's in dire need of some updates and some considerations as to what you need to do, if anything, about that. But it does need to be addressed, folks, because the ability of the people who are running the airport, whoever it might be, to get, again, grants, enhancements. And I truly believe that your airport is, maybe with COVID going away, it's going to be used more and more. And I think that's going to be beneficial too. Then the last matter is you are involved in it, but you're not involved in it. And that's a matter, it always amazes me when I have an issue come up about Polk County, that I can call John Boyd, and he was here. I think he was here when the place was founded, but you know.
They come in on the Mayflower.
Yeah, but he has the answers to lots of issues. And one of the issues is the litigation, which is pending, which you ultimately would be responsible for to some extent. We've done considerable work, and your beer board is working hard to come up with a resolution. As you know, the county is sued, and the beer board is sued, the mayor is sued, and so they have lost good sense, and they've asked me to represent them in these proceedings. Mr. Brown, Andy Brown, represents the plaintiff in the case, but with Mr. Cooper's background and knowledge, we've been able to ascertain how many establishments licenses were issued and exist in violation of the 2,000-foot rule. And so that litigation is pending. Mr. Brown said, you can't win this lawsuit under any circumstances. Guess what each of the applicants said on their application?
No church, school, or place of public gathering within 2,000 foot.
I hereby make the location, even the last applicant, but I just wanted to give you an update on that because you are involved, but I can assure you your beer board is defending your 2,000-foot rule as best we can. If there is shown to be favoritism to others in violation of that, generally speaking, the law is that you can't be successful. You have to give it to anybody if they're operating a good business or have the prospects for that, even though they're in violation of that, if you've allowed others to do it. So we will be taking up 26, 28, some, I don't recall the specific date, but we'll be taking up a motion to revoke and approve the revocation of at least 2 and perhaps as many as 3 issuing existing license because the applications were made.
We cleared 2.
Cleared 2.
They were prior to the date of the adoption.
Yes. There were 2 establishments who were within the 2,000, but they weren't subject to it because they were grandfathered in their license because we did not have the distance rule.
Then we've got one that's what was over 2,000 and now it's less.
They moved out.
That's where everything gets.
They moved into.
Something happened.
Well, you mentioned favoritism. Would your definition in this case of favoritism be, if somebody's operating that lied on their application? Or would your definition of favoritism be if somebody told the truth and said they were in 2,000 foot of a church and was still granted the license? Are you saying?
I have no favoritism. My suggestion is that neither does the beer board, that they have in good faith.
I guess what I'm saying, if somebody put on there they were over 2,000 foot from a church or
Yes.
school and they weren't,
Yes.
does that show favoritism on the county side?
Well, it's going to be revoked.
Right.
That shows that they didn't go measure and see.
Well, I just wonder who's.
Well, the applicant makes the burden is on the applicant to show that they are outside of the 2,000. Is our position. Folks, it's a unique case in Tennessee jurisprudence, but it's not the first time, for sure. But thank you for allowing me to be with you.
Would you be interested in coming to our building committee meeting?
Be happy to, or join you.
I mean, on the clock, of course. Like you said, that's a good investment, your money on that big contract, a little bit of consulting from somebody that's knowledgeable, and you was on this when we started, so, it'd be good to have you at it if you could. Unless anybody's got any objections to it on the hospital.
No objection on that.
I ain't got none. You got any objection?
Mr. Woody said that he said that.
When is that meeting?
Huh?
When is that meeting?
But we ain't decided yet. Mark's need to have a sanitation committee meeting, and, it'd be good to do it this month when we up here since it's concerning the hospital. So, whenever Mark,
Next Thursday?
Yeah, we have to say so.
Thursday.
And if you like, I can set up a Zoom and have as many people as you want to watch it. Do a public invitation, because we use Zoom. I've used it for as many as 150 people.
next Thursday.
Next Thursday, all right there, bud?
What time?
What is next Thursday?
Now, what time we need on the
25th.
hospital?
Bobby?
I don't remember what day your airport meeting
Why, that's right.
is. Is it,
I think that's correct.
is it?
It's usually on Tuesday.
23rd.
I think you told me the 23rd.
23rd, I think it's on Tuesday.
So this would be Thursday, the 25th, if you wanted to have that. But I think that your committee whoever you've assigned this issue to, certainly everybody would be welcome.
Yeah, probably the whole commission that can make it need to be here forward,
Get all of them.
educated. So, what, 6 on one, 7 on the other?
We'll do the building first.
Okay, we'll do the building committee 6, and then the sanitation 7, is that up to you?
Don't allow me to come again.
Jackie, you ready?
No, that was just for you guys.
Okay. Okay, so our next one is announcements and statements. Anybody have anything other than our meeting?
I've got one thing I need to bring up to the board is, Mr. Fox here from.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we need to give us an update, if you don't care. We had some questions about the facility contract obligation only. And you were one of the spokesmen for Pyramid. So where we at on fulfilling the contract?
Okay, update since last month at the meeting, since that was brought on the 21st, the 22nd through the 30th of January. There were 2 days that we did not have the third truck running. The other days we did have at least 12 hours. From the 31st of January through the present, we have had a third truck 24/7 with the exception of 12 hours this last Sunday. I just could not get a medic to work that day during the daytime. But other than that, I think by, what you have is contracted for with the 224s, 212s, that's 72 unit hours a day. We're providing that as of right now. We have brought on one part-time EMT, one part-time medic, 2 full-time EMTs, 1 full-time medic. We had another one that should have already been on. He balked a little bit, but he's now accepted a position and he's currently working now. Notice with his current company, and then he'll be coming on full-time, and that's going to put us even better. So, but we are, as of right now, since the 31st, with the exception of last Sunday, we've been running that truck 24/7. So.
And what we originally looked at was 224s, 212s on the contract, which is completion of 72 hours, contact hours a day.
Yeah.
And what y'all done, which the contract was left open, that was the general terms. But y'all done 3 24s
Yes.
to make 72 contact
Yeah.
hours.
Still same number of unit hours a day.
How's that working between east and west as far as?
During the daytime, we're having the third truck is more up here in Ducktown. Of course, if the Benton truck goes out, one of them will come down to the takeout to help cover, and vice versa. Then at night, it moves down to the Benton station, and one of them, if need be, will come up. And even like during the day when I'm on in the QRV in Benton, if the Benton truck goes out, we still do pull one down to the takeout. That way, if another call comes in, I first respond on it, and then that truck responds on in for transport.
What was the name?
Y'all are completing the 72 contact hours plus the QRV.
Yes.
What was the name of that company that was our second choice? I cannot think of them.
Was it First Call? What was it?
First Call, yeah.
First Call.
They were second choice, if I remember. And they put something in there about a QRV taking the place of I'd have to go back and read it.
I'm not aware.
But it was something about their QRV responding. And I think it's right in line with what y'all was doing.
Best I remember, I think they had it 10 hours a day,
Yeah, they had.
Maybe that's what
I think. And with the QRV, it's been an adjustment. It's something new you know, that we've never had here before, but I'm able to use it some to, you know, go with. If a call comes in that sounds bad, or by dispatch information, we know that we're gonna need some extra help, I can respond in with the units with that, and we'll have an extra set of hands. So,
You're doing the BACs with the jail and everything for the QRP too, ain't
yeah.
you? So you're not tying up anything
Yeah,
at that point?
yeah, I've used it, this morning we had a DOA call. I cleared the unit from it, and I stayed and contacted Dr. Darden. And that way we could keep that transport unit available for, and they did wind up running another call before I cleared that, so. You know, otherwise they would have been tied up on that.
Okay, the contract also called for a spare ambulance to be available. Is there a spare in the county that's operating?
Yes, once we get the other two trucks, the truck that we're running as third truck right now is going to be our reserve truck. We have the other two new ones that they've brought out. Still waiting on a couple items that are required by the state that we've had ordered. They're on back order. We're at the mercy of the supply company on that. But it's just a couple little things. As soon as we get them in, I can get those two trucks stocked and inspected and permitted by the state, and then we'll be able to, one of them will move up to Ducktown, the other one will stay in Benton, and then we'll have 4 brand new trucks and the 1 reserve truck.
So right now
You have 3 right now.
I won't tell you too, that, well, budget time be a little after busy season starts, but, and I think we said it was legal to add or take away, or add, not take away, as busy season gets here, after the season, maybe we can sit down and look at y'all running 2 trucks 24 hours on certain days. Couple, if you got anybody that wants to work extra 12 hours, like on a Saturday or Sunday, and seeing what y'all's cost to the county would be.
Okay. I can talk to them about that.
You know, just, because we got the ambulances there.
Yeah.
I'll need somebody in them, and, like, maybe it's like the 4th of July fell on a Saturday. You know, let's look at it on the calendar.
Mhm.
That'd be a good time.
Yeah.
Like Memorial Day.
Yeah, sometimes it does get busier.
Yep,
So,
and if we just sit down, y'all maybe give us a price for those 12-hour shifts, you know, extra, that one, like, maybe on a Saturday or Sunday, or,
okay.
Personnel is gonna be the problem, though.
That is, and there's a nationwide
Right now, it's
shortage.
just
I mean,
an
it's,
extreme shortage.
you know, because even with this $10,000 sign-on bonus that they offer for medics, I mean, we've had a little bit of interest with it, but not as much as what you would think. I mean, and people in EMS tend to be a little screwy sometimes too, so when you look at an operation that's offering, especially something, a bonus that big, they start going, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong there? What's wrong with them? So, you know, right now, it's just that we need people.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's because of poor management or, you know, whatever, you know.
Well, it's hard for a paramedic, they can't make what an RN can. And then it's basically about the same amount of schooling, I guess, or maybe more. I mean, I don't.
We could do more than an RN
Yeah,
sometimes.
but RNs are making the big bucks
Yeah,
compared to y'all, most of them,
a whole lot more.
bigger bucks. Yeah.
Ryan can answer that.
I've had a question come up, and it's actually been reflected twice. I'm just gonna go ahead and ask
Mhm.
the meds on y'all's ambulances. Are y'all up to the state requirement on your meds?
The only thing that we do not have that is required is still, we do not have morphine or fentanyl for pain control. As of right now, we do have ketamine that is in our pain control protocol, but we are required by the state to have an opiate-based, either, like I say, morphine or fentanyl. We usually carry both. There was a mix-up somehow. We're under Dr. Holly right now, who's the state medical director. He's Dr. Joseph Holly Jr. Somehow in the paperwork, it got put as just Joseph Holly. DEA kicked on that. That has been corrected on our end, has been resubmitted. Just waiting on the DEA to update it on their end. As soon as they do that, we've already got an order placed with our supply company. As soon as the DEA updates, then we can give that info to them. They'll release the order and we'll have it.
Is the state aware of this deficiency?
Yes,
So y'all, the state has been notified?
yes. Yeah, they are aware. I think the only other question that had been raised, I think last month, was something about the drugs for intubation, what we call DAI, drug-assisted intubation. We do not have those. That is not required by the state. We do not have protocol for that as of now. We are working on getting a more local, we're in some negotiations right now with Dr. Coleman out of Cleveland, who's Bradley County's medical director. He's agreed to take us on. We're just having to work all that out. Once we can get that, then we will have that protocol again. We can get those back. But also, per the state, with that, you know, the medics have to be trained twice a year. They have to go through, a class twice a year to to be able to keep doing that. So I do have that set up through Life Force. We're doing that next month in preparation for when we do get that protocol back, so that we will be ready for that.
So y'all are looking at having something resembling the protocol for Bradley County?
They'll be similar. We'll be fine-tuned for what we need here, because it is, being more rural and stuff, things are going to be different. They have some pretty good protocols in Bradley, but they will be fine-tuned for here, for what's best for here.
Like I said, we have been, we've been very giving on the contract.
Mhm.
I mean, we entered into contract good faith, and I think y'all, we've been very lenient to the point, of making sure people are covered. But we're gonna have to get the resolve stage now to get everything finalized, and we need to do it before next month's meeting. If you go back with your bosses and all, with any deficiencies, we need them done by next month.
Right now, the main thing has just been that extra truck, or, meeting that contracted requirement, and as of right now, we're doing that.
You have to go by and say, hey, we got pizza in this ambulance, jump in here, let's go for a ride, and steal some more personnel, do it. I mean, I don't know what else, being certified people.
We've got a couple more people that have expressed interest and have been sent applications. So we're in process on some of that. So,
What's the estimate on getting those drugs certified?
as soon as I can get the rest of the supplies I need that's required. The state has a list of requirements, that has the minimum, equipment that has to be on the trucks. I've got everything but 4 pieces of equipment. It's 2 different items for the 2 trucks. And
I'm
it's,
talking about the DEA, you said that.
the drugs.
Yeah, the 2 drugs.
Whenever the DEA, the government, decides to update the information on their end, which should be any time, but it's in their hands.
Contact, you get some contact for that department?
David does. He has contacts.
And is that something that maybe we should ask one of our, since if they've done everything on their end, and it seems to be held up in the state end of it, is that something that we should ask?
It's not
one
the
of our
state, this is the
representatives?
DEA.
The federal, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But is that something that we should contact one of our representatives maybe about and say, hey, can you do anything here to make this?
If it shows that the company has done everything and turned it in, then that would be your next step.
Yeah. If you can, have at it.
I mean, because, you know,
It's-
if you've done everything, if the company's done everything they can do, and it's on the federal level or whatever, I mean, your hands are tied. We could sit here and gripe about it till death do us part,
Yeah.
but you can't force them. And, it sounds like there might be
Obviously.
something that, we pay our representatives to do something, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what, but they do get a payday. So,
Maybe they can pull some strings on this. But he showed me last week, I was down in Mississippi at the main office, training on a few things, and, that's one thing that while I was there, I was asking about, what's the latest on this, and he showed me. I mean, it's been fixed on our end, it's been sent back to them, it's in their hands, so.
Anything else? Appreciate it, Chris.
Anybody have anything else?
Like-
Any chance of the library getting a building at the hospital? There's a lot of them there empty, I think.
I said, I have no idea on the hospital.
That wouldn't work out.
Could it be done? I don't know. What kind of, I don't know what shape it goes in.
It would have to be climate control because we looked at the bottom of where they have, Glen Springs, where it used to be. And if it isn't climate controlled right, the books and stuff will mold. So with the hospital, it's not in good condition. I mean, the books will mold, computers and stuff will run. So
In one of the outbuildings?
they're full. All of them's full.
I'm pretty sure too, I don't know how clear it is, I've heard it back and forth. Is that deed not pretty specific, but it has to be used for some kind of medical care?
There's a rider if it's
And-
sold something, yeah.
It does say it on it.
I think anything it's used for has to be related to the medical well-being of the community. So, I remember reading that somewhere.
It is on the deed, yeah. Even if it's still not.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Anybody got